It's Thursday night. You know what that means. Another episode of the Kicking Out podcast is kicking off. I'm Tanner Lee, along with my co-host Paul Zartman. Paul, how we doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Got some new equipment. I'm enjoying it so far. So it's a better setup than sitting there with a laptop on my lap every week.
Well, it looks good and sounds good from my end. So off to a good start.
Good to hear.
We're going to be recapping episode 248 of Being the Elite, along with another action-packed episode of AEW Dynamite from last night. Thanks to everybody if you're joining us live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. If you haven't subscribed or liked those pages, and if you're listening on an audio platform, please do that. And if you're listening on an audio platform, please hit subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please give us a rating and review. We'd really appreciate that. Before we do dive into it, Paul, I did think of one thing I wanted to bring up. AEW Talent today became officially All Elite.
Yes. Red Velvet is officially All Elite as of today. It's nice that she's finally gotten the chance to become All Elite. She's been doing good things, in my opinion, so far, and I look forward to seeing what she can bring in the future.
Yeah, Tony Khan teased it in the post-scrum after Revolution that a full-time contract was coming soon. I think she was on a paid per appearance contract, probably.
Yeah.
She definitely deserves it. I mean, she proved it during that the kickoff in Dynamite a few weeks ago with her and Cody versus Shaq and Jade. She proved in that match that she's worthy of a full-time contract. So excited to see her be a pivotal part of the women's division going forward.
Oh, yeah, and I think she's absolutely going to be. I mean, she's still a young talent. She's still training to really get her groove. I mean, she's going to make mistakes from time to time, which sadly people are going to call her out on, but stick with it. She'll do great.
Yep. Now I'm excited to see part 2 of her feud with Jade Cargill. I don't think we're done there yet by any means.
No, it's coming sooner rather than later. I got a feeling.
Well, let's get into this week's Being the Elite. Came out Monday, of course, early Monday afternoon, I believe, maybe or late morning, like it does every week. Episode 248, titled "Better Off Without Me." And we kick it off this week. We see Matt Jackson at home wearing a suit. He's closing his laptop, and he says it was a tough day on the stock market. That made me chuckle a little bit. He then thinks about Don Callis saying he wants to see the Young Bucks of New Japan Wrestling when they destroyed the competition, how Kenny Omega doesn't think much of them now. We cut back to Matt saying that they are the same guys as before. Matt then talks about dinner with his wife on the phone. He runs down all of the expensive stuff they need, steak, lobster, etc. Matt then hangs up the phone and realizes maybe he has changed a lot.
Yeah, I laugh too because ironically I just started dealing with stocks not too long ago myself. So
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I'm trying out Robinhood before I go big time. But so seeing him doing that made me chuckle because even I've been sitting there and I'll look at it and go, man, that was a tough day.
Up and down. It's the world of stocks.
Yep.
Yeah. We then go to the Dark Order hangout, and the group's talking about wanting to recruit someone in the stable. Some of the group really want Maki Ito in the group. John Silver heads over and asks her if she wants to join them. She tells them to take their piece of paper, asking if she'll join them, and tells them to F themselves, and she's going back to Japan.
Yeah, I gotta say, can we just take a moment here to pause to notice how dedicated Stu was to Anna and the fact that he does not want any other female in there? I mean, he never said it, but he just, you could tell from his facial expressions, he does not want anybody else in there.
He's got the crush on her. We've seen it hinted on past episodes. So
yep,
I'm excited. Maybe when she comes back, or 6 months, whatever her recovery is going to be, maybe we'll get the payoff from that.
Yeah, I think it'll be nice to see. I'll talk about more Anna Jay stuff coming up because we saw some references to her throughout Dynamite.
We then get the Good Brothers back this week, and like every week, it's their kind of crude humor. Carl Anderson's getting mad at Gallows for losing last week, and he blames him for the loss. He said he's always tired because of the physical activity he does outside the ring. And basically, to keep it PG, Carl told Doc there's no doing that physical activity for an entire week. And if he doesn't do that, if he doesn't follow through with that promise, the Good Brothers are breaking up.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, what can you say about that segment?
Yeah, keeping it PG, there's not, or even PG-13, there's not too much to say about that segment without
Right.
Crossing those borders. So
Yep.
we then see Matt Sydal telling his brother he can't find his ring jacket, but they're up next for the match. Then we see Ryzen pop up and ask them if they lost something of interest and ask them to visit the church merch. Vickie, Guerrero, and Nyla Rose are there. They end up selling the jacket back to him. They want $400. His music is starting to play, so he pays them and takes the jacket. He mistakenly leaves behind his fanny pack, and they steal that from him.
That was a fun little segment. I'm still waiting for this church merch to play the Merch Freak music in the background. That's really the only thing missing. I keep waiting for it, but it's not there yet.
So not yet.
Maybe one day we'll hear a Merch Freak reference again.
It looks like it's going to be a bit that sticks around week to week, though.
Yeah. Yep.
We then get a backstage clip of Brandon Cutler getting ready for his entrance. I mean, every week it's Cutler or the Young Bucks, whether it's in their in ring or getting ready to go into the ring or whatever it may be. So we then see Hangman Page show up and say he heard the good news about John Silver getting a shot at the AEW TNT Championship on Dynamite. They ask Silver what he's been doing to train. Then we see a montage of Silver training for his match while the group scenes in the background.
Yeah. And it took me way too long to realize that they were singing Darby's theme song.
Yeah, they were trying to make their own, cinematic little clip like Darby makes, and it was not even close to the level that Darby makes. But
no,
it was funny the wordplay they used for their own lyrics to his theme. So
yeah. Like I said, it took me way too long. I'm sitting there and I'm like, wait a minute. And the segment was almost over by the time I realized it. I'm mad at myself for that.
You should have caught it right when they did the body bag.
I should have, but it took me some time to realize that was the theme song.
The Dark Order is always the best part of being the Elite every week. Then we get the last clip of the show. It's a short show this week, only about 12 minutes long. We get a clip showing of Don Callis running down the Young Bucks on last week's Dynamite. Matt and Nick walk off. Matt then bumps into Matt Hardy. Hardy asks him if he's okay, then says Don has really been playing them because they're so gullible. Hardy then mentions the time when Page sent them a text message and Matt thought they were no longer friends. Matt asks Hardy how he knew about that. Then we flash back to tipsy Page leaving his phone in the parking lot. Remember, he was smashing the pumpkins with Cutler. Then shows Hardy actually sending a text message, which I'm glad they went back to that because I had forgotten about that.
I did until the moment he said I sent that message, and I was like, oh, now I remember that segment.
There's so many little bits, and even on Dynamite, they do this a lot. Long-term storytelling, which they wait so long to pay it off, you kind of forget about it, and then they tie it in real nicely. It's like, wow, that's impressive how they've planned that out so long.
Yeah, and then you realize it really wasn't all that long ago.
Correct. Yeah. Matt Hardy says that's when he originally wanted to get Hangman Page away from the Elite so he could manipulate him and make him some money. Matt Jackson then walks off as the clips are played from previous episodes. It's got that, sad music, that music. Whenever they start playing that, it's got to be some kind of emotional. Yeah, they're trying to get you in the heart, right in the heart. So we see all these old clips. Then Matt's going to find Hangman pretty much in the Dark Order's lair, and we see Hangman. Or the clips, I should say that, like Hangman saying he's the least successful member of the Elite, can't be in the group anymore. We see Matt throwing the drink in Hangman's face, Hangman getting kicked out of the group. So Matt goes to try to find him, and he sees him having fun with the Dark Order and watches for a moment, and then rather than going in, he closes the door and walks off.
Yeah, which, again, was one of the clips that they brought up was when the Young Bucks won the titles, and they were celebrating with Kenny, and he went in to join them because he had lost that night. He went in to join them and saw they were having so much fun and just walked away.
I'm really interested to see where this is going to go.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing the Elite reform.
Yeah, I slowly but surely. I don't know. It's interesting because for a long time, I thought, and he still is kind of with the Dark Order, even though he's not a member of the Dark Order. So, is he going to be the one to eventually overcome Kenny Omega? I think that's the direction they're going, but I don't know.
I don't know. Did you see that Hangman has a new T-shirt out?
That is a cool T-shirt. Yes. I got friends in dark places.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a cool
Says
one.
he's Dark Order without saying I'm in the Dark Order.
And like you, I'm always looking to get some new shirts. I just want some that aren't black. That's why I'm wearing this FTR one tonight. It's yellow. That's why I got this one. It originally came out. I'm like, that's a cool looking shirt, and it's not black. I mean, I have, on top of being a Purdue University fan, I have a lot of black shirts, whether it's wrestling related, Purdue related, whatever it may be. I'm like, I just want a different color once in a while.
Yeah, I think all of them I have, but one are black, and that was the Young Bucks Super Kick Party one that came out on like a baby blue T-shirt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know which one. Yeah, the Bucks seem to be the only wrestlers really that consistently have different color variations of T-shirts in AEW. Mostly everybody else is black for the most part, but black's the cheapest color to make a T-shirt on. So
yes,
cheaper than white. So
yeah, and they're trying to keep the cost somewhat affordable for us.
Sure, Pro Wrestling Tees does a great job. So
absolutely.
So I can't complain too much. So, well, let's get right into last night's Dynamite. Kicked off the episode we saw AEW World Champion Kenny Omega versus Matt Sydal. It was a non-title match. However, if Sydal got the win, he'd receive a future title shot. I got to be honest, this match was a lot better than I expected. Sydal got a lot more offense in than I expected. I know Sydal is very talented, but I was surprised how much offense they gave him just because in the way they've built him so far since he joined the company.
Yeah, I figured this would be a 5-minute match. It'd be over and it'd be all Kenny Omega and maybe a minute or two of Matt. And then when Matt started hitting offense left and right, I was rather excited. I said, okay, maybe he does pull this off against Kenny somehow. But
one thing I really enjoyed right before the match started was Kenny looking at the camera and complaining how he was on first match of the night. I thought that was perfect. Keeps it within his heel character. I like that little touch.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying Kenny Omega as a heel, I gotta say.
Him and Callis cut a heck of a promo on Impact the other night. Wow. Yeah. It was, even though Impact got its lowest rating of the year the other night, just don't think anything's going to help that show. But pretty much he's going after all the titles, and he even called out a Bushi, which I think we're going to get that sometime. I don't know when. They would be smart to hold off if they can until crowds can come back for that one, because that's that could be match of the year.
Absolutely.
But going back to this match, it was back and forth for a while. Towards the end of the match, Kenny tries for the one-wing angel, but Sydal hits a poison rana. Sydal then goes up top, but Kenny shakes the ropes and crotches him pretty much. Kenny then tries for one-wing angel again, but he gets countered into a tricky pin. Very, very, very close 3 count.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was about as close as you can get. That was about 2 9/10.
I thought it was over right then and there. I was excited, and then I realized, nope, that was a 2.
Kenny gets up, hits a V-trigger, then the one-wing angel, which nobody kicks out of except Okada that one time for the 1, 2, 3.
Yep. It was like I said, it was a solid match. Kind of sad that it was on first, but it was a great way to kick off the show.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was trying to think last night what was going to be the opener. I thought maybe the trios match with the Bucks and Cutler versus the Lucha Bros. But no, it was this match. This match, it honestly might have been probably second best match of the night, in my opinion. It was a lot better than I anticipated. So backstage, we didn't see Alex Marvez talking with John Silver, surrounded by the Dark Order, and asked him how ready he is for tonight's match against Darby Allin. Silver's all pumped up, says he's ready to go, and boots Marvez from the room to continue training. He says, look how I've been training for the coffin drop. And we see the guys pretty much trust falling. It starts with who falls first? Oh, Colt.
Reynolds.
Colt falls. Reynolds, you're right. Reynolds falls first. Silver gets out of the way. And then Uno, I believe, falls next. and Silver gets out of the way. The 5, I knew this was coming, falls next. The whole group gets out of the way, and he falls on the couch. He says he's ready to go, and then Hangman's in the background. He shows up, asks him how he's feeling. Silver says he's Johnny Hungry and ready to go. Page responds that he knows the other guys will be behind Silver no matter what happens, even if he loses. So, which I thought that was really weird how the delivery of that. So I thought, are we going to get a Hangman heel turn? Like, I can't really imagine so, but it kind of made me question it a little bit.
Especially with the new shirt that just, was in the process of being dropped. I'm like, wait a minute.
Which they've done that before, though. I feel like they dropped a new MJF Cody shirt like 2 weeks before MJF turned on them. And then I remember, I'll never forget WWE years ago. They had a shirt for Jericho and AJ Styles before Jericho turned on when they were attacking for like 3 weeks. They made a shirt.
Right.
So,
yeah, well, that company was quick to make shirts, though.
You're right. Still are. We then see Hangman in action. He's against Cezar Bononi. Pretty quick match, really.
Yeah.
Action spilled out to the floor. Hangman tried for a splash, got caught in the middle. Bononi tosses Page down to the apron to get back in the ring. Bononi cracks Page, but he gets it right back in the face, throws some more strikes. Page then goes for a power slam, but doesn't get it, gets thrown across the ring. Bononi misses a clothesline. Page hits a few clotheslines of his own. Page hits a high collar suplex, buckshot lariat, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I stepped out of the room for this match.
I don't blame
so
you.
I didn't get to see a whole lot of it. I figured I'd be able to come back and catch some of it, but I was cutting ice cream cake at the time.
That sounds really good.
It was delicious. But yeah, by the time I got done cutting frozen cake, it was over, and I'm like, oh. And my daughter was like, Daddy, guess who won? And I'm like, Hangman Adam Page. And she's like, yeah, how'd you know? I said, there was no way he was losing that one.
Nope. I mean, Cezar's doing well on Dark. I think he's got a winning record. I think his overall record is now like 6-5. But if you're not familiar with Dark or watching him on Dark, then you probably haven't seen too much of him. But he's usually in a little stable with Pretty Peter Avalon. So
yeah.
We then see Lance Archer. He's in a random warehouse, and he's talking about Sting. He says, "Without Sting, there would have been no Lance Archer." He has a baseball bat, a black baseball bat in his hand. He says everybody paid close attention to Sting back in the day. He says now people are going to pay close attention to him, or the walls are going to come crashing around them. People will remember his name, and sooner or later, it will be showtime.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that this went the direction it did. I figured we'd get some interaction between Sting and Archer, but I thought Archer was going to come for Darby before he came for Sting.
Yeah, I got a comment I'll make later on when we're covering something else. I still think there's a different direction they're going to go with this that interacts both Sting and Lance together in a storyline. Okay. I think I got an idea. I could be way wrong, but it's just
it's AEW. It's hard to keep up.
I'm usually wrong when it comes to AEW, which is nice.
Yes.
We then see last week we see Thunder Rosa talking with Tony Schiavone about her big victory over Britt Baker and their show-stealing main event in their lights out match. Rosa was thankful for the match and being able to show women wrestlers that they should be put all over the world. So we then see Tony on the stage with Britt Baker, and Britt cuts a heck of a promo here. He wants everybody to give her a round of applause for one of the best matches they've seen in AEW. Britt Baker doesn't think the applause was loud enough, considering how much she gave last week. She says the fans don't even give her enough respect, which you got to remember at the very start of the company when they had her as a green babyface, fans were crapping all over her.
Yeah. I can remember reading tweets that, it's only because your boyfriend that you signed with AEW. And a lot of people still say that about her.
I don't know how you can say that now.
I'm not the biggest fan of her.
I know you're not, yeah.
But I have a lot of respect for her after last week's match.
She's getting better. I mean,
yes.
She's always been good on the mic, but she's getting better in the ring every time she goes out. So I think it's only a matter of when, not if, when she gets the strap. So,
Yep.
she says Thunder Rosa should be thanking her because everybody will remember her after she was a part of history, which was interesting because Thunder Rosa did put on a heck of a performance and won the match. But I feel like everybody is talking about Britt Baker more than Thunder Rosa. But I think that's partially because she's not technically a member of the AEW roster.
I think that, and Britt came out with a new T-shirt that night or the next day,
and she got so much color.
Yeah, she had so much color that, I mean, everybody's gonna, when they think of this match, they're gonna think of a great match, but sadly, they're gonna lead more towards Britt Baker than they are Thunder Rosa.
You're 100% correct. Britt brings up the blood that she had. Brings up how Rosa's saying that she put the women on the map, but why is everybody talking about her? So kind of like I just mentioned, Britt brings up Mick Foley, giving her a thumbs up on Twitter. She says it took him 20 years to be a hardcore legend. It only took her one night. I thought that was a pretty nice shot.
Yeah.
She continues that Tony Khan's looking for every legend he can find, but he has one standing right here under his nose, and that she put AEW on the map. And then she says the three initials people needed to remember, DMD.
Yeah. I think Britt is going to be a legend. She will eventually, when AEW forms a Hall of Fame, she will be one of the first ones in it in the women's division. She's still so young. She's still, in a sense, green. She's got a bright future ahead of her. She's put on some great matches already in her 1.5-year career. Plus, she still works full-time job pulling teeth every single day. So.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
I just hope they can keep her within the company. I think they will. She was on Renee I always want to call her Renee Young, but Parquette's podcast, John Moxley's wife, her podcast Oral Sessions the other day. And she basically said it is tough with her boyfriend, Adam Cole. Bebe, I always got to say that. I can't leave that out. Being in WWE, being in WWE, being in NXT, and her being AEW, she said she'd love for them to work in the same company someday, but she also said that she doesn't plan on leaving. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely am okay with Adam Cole coming over to AEW. I mean, I think that's where he needs to be, but that's just me. I know a lot of people share that thought process too, but I think he's just got to work through his contract where he's at, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him come over.
Yeah, I think eventually. I think it has a good chance of happening. I mean, he's best friends with Kenny and the Bucks, so
yeah.
And a lot of other guys over there, and he goes to like their parties and stuff. I mean, he's involved and he watches every week, even if he's backstage watching on his phone if Britt's in the match. So, it's cool that he's, of course, still supporting her like he should, no matter what. But right. I got to think his time in NXT is almost done. He's got to get caught up to the main roster. But quite frankly, I don't think he'll be used as well on the main roster as he is in NXT. But I don't know what else he can do down in NXT besides finishing up this feud with Kyle O'Reilly. So.
Yeah, I told you I don't keep up with NXT enough. When I saw the video of him attacking Kyle O'Reilly in his dojo, I was like, what the heck's going on here?
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, what's there left to do? Most people these days, you say NXT, they go Adam Cole.
Absolutely. I mean, Balor's down there now carrying Cross, but he'll be going up soon. That's the thing with NXT. It still is a developmental show, and more times than not, their talent's going to get sent up, not sent down. So
yeah, which always threw me off with Balor coming to NXT. I mean, I think it was to try to compete with AEW, but it didn't help him.
I think it was that, and also they just didn't have a spot for him on the main roster. They booked him poorly, and really it goes back to when he won the Universal title over Rollins at SummerSlam and had to have surgery. That kind of put his career back a little bit. So,
yeah, but Adam Cole, if you hear this, don't go up to the main roster. Come to AEW.
Yeah, become all elite one of these days. So, all Okay, now back to Dynamite. Now that was we went off a tangent a little bit there, so I apologize. We see Dasha Gonzalez talking with Christian Cage. He's hanging out with the Varsity Blondes and Dante Martin. Cage says they were just talking shop and about the upcoming trios match tonight. Then we see Frankie Kazarian enter. He tells Cage that he has time for him, but doesn't know what to say to an old friend. Kazarian notices Cage's shirt, which is outwork everyone, and says that's been a thing since he's been here. He wonders when the work's actually going to start for Cage. Cage tells him he knows how good Frankie is, and the work starts next week. He says, oh, I don't have an opponent, by the way. So pretty much Frankie steps up. He then jokingly asks Cage if he works Mondays. And then he tells Cage to check out Elevation where he can check out Frankie's match.
Yeah, it was a nice little stab back to the other company there with the do you work Mondays? Because, he was everybody thought he was going to be on Raw, and then he showed up on Dynamite. I'm looking forward to seeing Christian and Frankie go one-on-one again next week. Sadly, I haven't seen it yet.
They had a heck of a match back in Impact. I want to say 2007. It was really one of their classic matches. So I think they'll tear it down next week. And I'm just anxious to see Christian back in the ring.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's been a solid match, 7 years since he's really done anything.
Yep. I mean, he had that appearance in the Rumble and appearance last year on Raw, which he got punted in the head by Randy Orton. That was about it. So,
yeah.
So I'm anxious to see what he can bring and what they got planned for him, because I'm still not sure where he's going to fit in the AEW scene. So we then get a 6-man tag match between the Varsity Blondes of Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. and Dante Martin, one half of Top Flight. Darius Martin's still on the shelf with a knee injury, against FTR and Shawn Spears, the first match for the Pinnacle. We see the Pinnacle make an entrance together with their new entrance music. Really digging this music. It's Horseman-esque. It's got a little the same notes. It's pretty similar to what you'll hear on Arn, on the podcast Arn with Conrad Thompson. They always play that for the Horseman music, and I really dig it. I really dig it. Ruckus outdid himself in this one. So
yeah, it's definitely a nice little throwback to old times.
We then see Shawn Spears getting worked over early in the match. Really, then we see Dax Harwood be able to get tagged in, and he puts Pillman down with a clothesline. Harwood then tosses him in the corner, throws a few strikes. Spears tags back in, but Pillman's able to fight them off as Martin gets the blind tag. Martin hits a beautiful moonsault on both opponents. Griff Garrison tags in, drops both guys with a really aggressive-looking spear. The Pinnacle leaves the ring for a breather, kind of huddles up. All three wrestlers were looking to go over the top ropes, but Wardlow gets in their way, so then they decide not to. Action keeps going back and forth. The Pinnacle gets control of the match back in the ring. Martin gets rid of Spears, but Harwood drops Martin with a brain buster. Spears tags in, hits a pop-up C4, and that'll do it. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it was a back and forth match. I really enjoyed this. Definitely showed the teamwork that the Pinnacle already has. So, I mean, that shows a bright future for the Pinnacle. Again, I was kind of shocked at first to see Shawn get worked over the way he did, but to be able to come back and pull off the victory, I was proud.
I've seen a lot of people's only gripe about this group is Spears' mohawk.
I wouldn't say so much the mohawk. It's the fact that he's blonde.
Yeah.
He's got to go dark if he's going to have the mohawk, because the blonde just looks weird.
It does. I'm right there with you a little bit. But especially with how they're trying to portray the group, with the fancy clothes, the suits, and everything. So, it'll be interesting. I don't know, but I'm digging the group so far. I texted you last night. I'm like, this group is fun to hate, and you're like, do we have to hate them? I'm like,
right?
No, we don't have to hate them.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying them. I know we're only a week in to the Pinnacle, but so far I've enjoyed what I've seen.
Post-match, we see Shivani head into the ring to talk with the group. Wardlow then hits I'm guessing they're going to call it a knee strike on Brian Pillman Jr. Pretty much puts him in a chokeslam position from the top rope, picks him up, and then drives the knee right into his face. So I'll call it a knee strike. Then he sends him out of the ring with Martin and Griff Garrison, and the crowd starts chanting, "You suck!" You suck as Tony's introducing the group. We then see Cash Wheeler grab the mic, which you don't see him do a ton of. He says they aren't just a group; they're family. Hardwood then brings up how Satan and Ortiz say they have done well for themselves, but they don't. But that doesn't fool FTR. He then says Inner Circle does too much comedy, and this is professional wrestling. MJF makes a fat joke about Chris Jericho breaking a chair, I believe, when he sits on it. He then tells them to come out and fight right now. MJF says they are terrified and won't be out. Tony Schiavone tries to stick up for the Inner Circle, saying that MJF knows full well that they are hurt and aren't coming out. Wardlow then puts his hand on Tony's shoulder. MJF asks him if he has something to say. Tony then backs down, stays quiet. MJF then says next week he has a gift to give to the rest of the Pinnacle, because when you're in the Pinnacle, you're always on top.
Yeah, great promo. I did like the multiple stabs at Jericho with, breaking down the walls and
yes,
reference to his old gimmicks. MJF has studied very well. Of course, he grew up watching Jericho, so he has a lot on Jericho as is. I'm interested to see the Inner Circle Pinnacle come full circle.
Yeah, I'm glad they kept the Inner Circle off TV for the second straight week. I think that's very smart. Be interested to see if I wouldn't mind them keeping them off TV next week too. One more week, and then have them come back. But we'll see. Yeah. What do you think? Any idea what MJF's got to give the Pinnacle as their gift?
I'm guessing it's group something. Like the jackets that they got for Inner Circle. It'll be something like that. I've got a feeling.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's probably a good guess. I have no idea. So
that's my best guess there. Or maybe that's how we get the 6-man tag belts. Maybe MJF introduces them to the Pinnacle.
That's an interesting thought. Interesting, because he did say they want all the gold, which I saw somebody make a graphic on Twitter. I thought was pretty cool. It's the group of the Pinnacle standing outside their jet, and it has each member besides Tully, of course, with gold. So you got FTR with the tag belts, you had Spears with the TNT title, you had MJF with the world title, and Wardlow with the FTW title.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Which I would love if they turned the FTW title into a big man's title.
Yes.
Like anybody over like 250 pounds or something.
Right.
Yeah. I think that'd be fantastic. So.
Yeah, it would. And I got to say, because if you think about it, FTR and Shawn Spears, they're the only ones who don't have anything. Right now, Wardlow's not really been in ring, and MJF's got the Dynamite Diamond.
Yep.
So if they were to introduce the 6-man tag belts, it'd be perfect for them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think we're going to see those eventually. I don't know when, but if it's next week, that could be a heck of a surprise.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We then see Taz backstage with Team Taz. He said there's been a lot of conspiracy theories out there that there's something wrong with the group. Taz says things are fine. That Cage apologized to the group for what he said last week with Sting. Taz asks Powerhouse Hobbs if he's good, and he says he's good. He asks Hooks if he's good. He says he's good. Asks Ricky Starks how he's feeling. He says perfect. Then he asks Cage, and Cage kind of paused, and then he did about the laziest who better that he's ever done. So then I liked his tweet last night. Brian Cage had a tweet that had Brian Cage kind of side-eyeing the group. And so I think a Cage face turn is coming soon.
Yeah. During the whole promo while Taz was talking, Cage just, in a sense, was mocking him and just kind of look at him like, yeah, okay, whatever, sure, So I think it's coming sooner rather than later.
This earlier, I kind of teased it when we were talking about Archer. We saw Cage step up and respect Steen last week. Archer's been putting Steen down. Could we get some sort of Lance Archer versus Brian Cage with Steen incorporated in it somehow?
I think we could. I don't know how I feel about Sting being incorporated, because that would mean that Cage is kind of joined Team Sting per se.
Yeah.
Which then it's just going to reignite that feud between Darby and Team Taz.
Yeah, unless Steen and Cage would go off in their own direction or something, and Darby kind of is on his own. But yeah, I think Steen's with Darby for a little longer. But I want to see Cage and Archer, but at the same time, I think their styles are almost too similar. And one of them is going to try a moonsault or something on the other one. But my bigger concern for those two is I don't know who they have win that match, because I don't want either guy taking a loss, because I feel like AEW did great with both of them at the beginning, how they booked them. Then they kind of did bad with both. Now they're doing good with both. So it's like,
Yeah. I don't know. I think the only way you could do it if those two were to face off is it ends in a draw, a time limit draw or something.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go. Of course, if Cage breaks away from Team Taz, then he can start feuding with Team Taz, and Team Taz can try to get the FTW title back, which you made note that he did defend this week on Dark against Brandon Cutler. It was the first time he's defended the title.
Yeah, that I'm aware of. I mean, I may be wrong, but in all the time he's held it, I've never really seen him defend it unless it was a guaranteed match. I think he did once on Dynamite. But that was like right after he got the belt, and then it just kind of became a backdrop.
Yep. I would, like I said a few minutes ago, I'd really like them to turn that belt into a big guy's belt. So we then see Tony Schiavone talking with QT Marshall on stage. QT says he's frustrated and that he's known as Cody's friend. QT says Cody talks about doing the work, and there's nobody in AEW outside from Tony Khan who has worked as much as him. QT says he is given a match here and there, but talks mostly about all the other work that fans don't see behind the scenes when he's up all night or getting Cody his coffee. Cody gets to go back to a nice hotel while QT's wife sleeps alone, and she's showing there in the crowd, which is nice. I mean, if you've watched his documentary on Amazon Prime, you're aware of his wife, which I had to laugh. A lot of Twitter's, oh, how about his segment with the bunny for 6 months, blah, 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 blah. It's like, come on, people. Like, they dropped
Right.
that. They went away from it. He says next week he wants there to be an exhibition in the ring between himself and Cody. He doesn't want to take any more meaningless bumps if it means he has to be in Cody's shadow. Out comes Cody. Cody's got the headset on. Cody's in a sling, so he is selling that arm breaker from Penta last week, which was nice. Wish he would have sold it a little more last week, but he probably saw those comments and made up for it in this way. Cody says while his heart is not into this, he will gladly accommodate QT's request for next week's exhibition, and Arn Anderson will serve as the guest referee. Cody says he has a name and a repetition to uphold, but ultimately he's not going to hurt QT if he goes for one of his finishers as the figure four. He's not going to apply it as the crossroads. He's not going to hit it. He's not going to fall through on those because QT has been a great friend and even his best friend. Then the crowd chants Cody's friend. Cody says it will be friend to friend and the two shake hands.
Yeah. I got a feeling QT's going to attack that shoulder next week like hardcore.
Oh, yeah. QT, I think we finally get the full heel version. This isn't going to be pretty for Cody.
Yeah, no, this is what's going to be putting Cody on the shelf, I've got a feeling.
And I will say QT is very underrated, not only in the ring, but on the mic. He's got a lot better.
Yes, he has. That was one of the things I commented on last night was his improvement on the mic.
So I'm just interested to see where this goes. The exhibition match is kind of weird to make the stipulation like that. So I guess the win or loss doesn't count in the exhibition match.
Right. And I think that's why they want to do it, since it's just supposed to be between those two, just friends kind of hashing out a little problem they had. But I've got a feeling Cody will pull off the victory somehow, and it'll set QT off, and he'll attack him post-match and put him on the shelf.
That definitely could be. We will have to wait and see. Then we get a really exciting 6-man tag match between the Lucha Bros and Laredo Kid, who is filling in for an injured Pac. Pac's on the shelf for a couple weeks. Laredo Kid, this was his first match on Dynamite, and I think since about Fyter Fest or somewhere around there. It's been 2 years. They're facing off against the Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler, which is good to see Cutler get some more time on Dynamite. He's definitely deserved it with all the hard work he's put in. Exciting match. We see Matt Jackson's family in the crowd before the match, which is a nice little touch. Towards the end of the match, we see Matt and Nick with a buckle bomb and the Insigari combination. Then they hit Ricky Business on Laredo Kid. Cutler tags in with a springboard elbow drop. He always hits that move really nicely. For a 2 count, Penta breaks it up. Then Cutler's thrown out of the ring, and he eats a kick from or Penta's thrown out of the ring and eats a kick from Nick. Phoenix is flipping all over the place like he always does, but he ends up getting hit with an assisted indie taker. Nick hits a step-up flip out onto the floor on Penta. Matt nails a huge DDT on the apron to Phoenix, but then the Laredo Kid then nails a beautiful Spanish fly over the top rope on Cutler for the kind of surprising 1-2-3 victory.
Yeah. I mean, it had to go that way, in my opinion, because this isn't going to hurt Laredo Kid or Brandon Cutler, and this still makes the Lucha Bros and the Young Bucks look strong.
I agree. I think the Lucha Bros needed a win. They've been taking some L's lately, especially Penta. So I like this. I had no problem with it. So
yeah, but that DDT onto the edge of the ring, man, that looked like it hurt.
Hardest part of the ring.
Yes, it is.
Then post-match, we see Kenny Omega come out, and he jumps in. And he starts beating up Laredo Kid with a microphone. He then hits him a few times with a title. Omega gets on the mic, says he's getting flashbacks to 2019 Fyter Fest when they all had a choice. Omega says 3 years ago they had a choice. He could have stayed at home with people that loved him, but he didn't. He could have went to greener pastures in New York, a.k.a. WWE, but he didn't. Omega says he didn't pick AEW. He chose the Young Bucks. They were here to make this the best wrestling promotion on the planet. Omega says he picks them, and they picked Brandon Cutler, which Cutler was not pleased with that comment. They never picked Kenny. Kenny says he knows Callis can be a bit much sometimes, but Omega will give them one more chance and offers up the 2 sweet hand gesture. The Matt and Nick think about it and then decide to walk off, leaving Kenny in the ring. Omega tells Cutler to go be their cameraman, which was pretty funny, and they are done. Omega then turns around and eats a double super kick from Penta and Phoenix. I mean, this was a hard super kick. Actually busts his lip open. They hit the double stomp and a pile driver on the champ, and they leave with Laredo Kid. Omega's bleeding from the mouth. Then the Good Brothers finally come out to the ring to help him as Omega gives a woozy thumbs up. And Callis, of course, was hiding behind the announcers when all this was going on.
Yeah, when the Bucks first walked out, Callis walks over there and tries to wave them back in. Come on, guys, Kenny's being attacked. Come in here. And they had no part of it. And the Good Brothers late to the party as usual. It'll be interesting to see what comes up Monday if they failed to make it a full week or not.
Or just Gallows. Because Anderson, that's the stipulation he put out there. But that'll be interesting. But as of right now, the Elite is no more.
Yeah. Well, I think it'd be more the club this way.
Yeah, Good Brothers. Good point. And the 2 sweet that they shrugged off. Yep. So we did see a promo from Jade Cargill where she calls out Red Velvet, which we mentioned at the top of the show is the newest All Elite member, for asking for a rematch after Jade already beat her up. Jade says they're both undefeated in singles action. There can only be one winner. She continues that she has money, and if Red Velvet steps in the ring, she is stepping to her, basically. So just a quick little promo to keep the story going.
Yeah, when those two face off again, it'll be interesting to see if they allow Red Velvet the win to keep the feud going, or if they just continue to make Jade look strong.
I think you got to keep giving the wins to Jade.
I agree.
Then we see Eddie Kingston get his ankle crushed by the Good Brothers, and Omega wrapped a chair around it and stomped down, and then they were going to crush Moxley's neck, but the Young Bucks came in with a save. So then backstage, we see Kingston has his foot all wrapped up in a cast and says it's a broken something, but he'll come back. Kingston tells Omega and the Good Brothers that they're going to pay for this. He wonders how far they're going to take this. Moxley then continues and wonders if those guys will really want to go as far as they say they want to take it. Moxley says he doesn't know the Young Bucks, doesn't really like them, but guesses he owes them one after last week. Are we going to get Moxley and the Bucks versus Kenny and the Good Brothers?
Yep, it's just a matter of time. I mean, Eddie's on the shelf right now. Whether it be storyline or legit, he is on the shelf. So Moxley's not going to wait for him to get healed to get his revenge. So he'll partner with the Bucks and take them on.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's a Dynamite main event sometime before Double or Nothing. I mean, I know you said it could be the big match, Double or Nothing, or one of the big matches, but I just can't see them doing a AEW pay-per-view without the AEW World Title on the line.
Yeah.
And by that time, he could be the AEW champion and the Impact champion and the AAA champion.
Yeah. He'll be could be walking in with 3 belts, at least 2.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I still think maybe they hold off till fans for this match, but I still think we get blood and guts between the Pinnacle and Inner Circle. But they could hold off till like All Out and do that and do some other matches between the teams here and there. Like you could do a Proud and Powerful versus FTR, Sammy versus Spears, Wardlow against Hager again, Jericho against MJF. You can do those in the meantime, I guess.
Yeah.
And build up for that culmination.
Yeah, I still want to see an MJF Sammy match. I mean,
yep, yeah, that's in there too, I think. Yeah.
We never got it and I'm ready for it.
Yep. It's 9:30, so back in the normal 9:30 slot as a women's match, we have Nyla Rose with Vickie Guerrero against Tay Conti. And this match, I got to be honest, Paul, this match surprised me. The result of it did. We see the Dark Order come out on the stage to show support for Tay Conti since she's Anna Jay's buddy. We then head back in the ring, and Rosa immediately drops Conti. Rosa continues to work over, snaps her fingers, and then chokes her down in the corner. Rosa goes for a 2 count, then hits a big lariat. Rosa drapes Conti over the top rope, climbs to the top rope, hits a big knee to the back of Conti's head for 2 counts. Conti's barely able to kick out of that, though. Nyla Rose then hits a running senton. Conti puts her knees up, though. She then hits some shots in the corner, hits some big running knees of her own. Conti looks for a finisher, but she doesn't get it. She gets Nyla draped over onto the second rope. Tay Conti goes out to the apron, goes up to the second rope, hits a flying knee to the head for a 2 count. Conti then hits a high kick to the back of Nyla Rose's head, jumps over Rose for a pump kick, but Rose drops her with a lariat for a 2 count. Rose then looks for the beast bomb, but Tay Conti rolls through that, hits her with a bunch of kicks, but then eats knee left. But Conti hits another kick, running knees to the face in the corner, then hits a big DDT, as they call it. And JR, I don't know if he thought Tony messed up or because he calls it a DDT, and Excalibur, Tony's like, yeah, that's what it's called. And she hits that for the 1-2-3 in the surprising victory, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know they claimed this to be a rematch, but I did not see Tay winning this one. I wanted her to, but I just did not see her overcoming Nyla.
She is the number 1 contender right now in the rankings for Sheeta's belt. In post-match, we see Vickie Guerrero grab Tay's foot, and Nyla Rose and Vickie kind of beat her up a little bit. Nyla's looking for the beast bomb, but Sheeta runs out and hits Nyla with a kendo stick. Then the Bunny runs out and nails both Sheeta and Conti with the kendo stick. Matt Hardy, the Blade, and the Butcher walk out of stage and are just kind of observing things. Hardy then takes the microphone and says the women's title tournament was terrible because the Bunny wasn't even in it. Hardy says his clients have been overlooked far too long, and that ends now.
I will say this, maybe not for the Bunny, but I am hopeful for Butcher and Blade, because we've talked numerous episodes in the past where they struggle to find somewhere where they fit in, that they can just keep them. It's every time they try something with them, it all falls apart. And I really think with the new transformation of the Matt Hardy family office.
Oh, I hate that name.
Yeah, I'm not digging the name, but I think having them in there, I'm kind of becoming okay with it now.
I wish it was called the Matt Hardy Empire or something like I think originally we got to call it the Matt Hardy Family Office. Just doesn't really have a good ring to it.
No, even if you shorten it down to Hardy Family Office, it just It sounds terrible.
We then have a hype package for Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor versus Miro and Kip Sabian next week. It's going to be the Arcade Anarchy match. Yeah, I think this is finally going to end next week. And my prediction is we see Chuck and Orange Cassidy get the win, and Sabian costs his team the win somehow, and Miro goes off and destroys him after the match.
Yeah, I was leaning towards Miro and Kip for this until the hype package when Miro said he's looking forward to seeing Kip destroy both of them.
Yep.
Because he wanted it. He's got to do it.
And I thought it was interesting. Penelope just stood there and didn't say anything, even after Miro kind of, said things about her last week and accidentally hit her off the apron a couple weeks ago at Revolution. So
yeah, I think somehow Penelope will get involved, and like she normally does for Kip's matches, and that'll cause Miro and Kip to butt heads a little bit more, and then that'll turn into the full-fledged match between those two.
Yeah, definitely could. It's gonna be interesting to watch. I'm just hoping this is the last installment of this feud.
Well, yeah, I'm ready for just Miro and Kip now, 1-on-1.
Then we get the lineup, the card for next week. Christian Cage making his AEW debut against Frankie Kazarian. It's going to be a heck of a match. Cody Rhodes against QT Marshall with Arn Anderson as the special guest referee. That's the exhibition match. Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor versus Miro and Kip Sabian in the Arcade Anarchy match. So pretty much I think around the ring is going to be old arcade cabinets. Akira Shida and Conti versus the Bunny and Nyla Rose. Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers versus the Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid. Yeah, that's the card so far for next week. So,
yeah.
We then get a one quick segment with Scorpio Sky saying he's getting screwed over and over in AEW. He said he's tired of being called underrated. He's the face of the Revolution. On Monday's Dark Elevation is going to be Sky versus Mike Sydal. So I guess he gets to prove. And he also made something that he hasn't changed. This has always been him. He's just now showing it. So,
yeah, and it was interesting. The jacket hanging in the background. I know it's something of his, but it just seemed out of place and like it was just hung there, and nobody really knew what to do with it.
I'll have to go check that out. I missed that. I guess I didn't pay close enough attention.
Yeah, it's hanging in the background. It looks like it's in the tunnel behind him, but it honestly almost looks like somebody's standing there with their back to him.
I'll have to check that out.
It's the little details I catch.
And the little details are important when we're talking AEW because they usually aren't there by accident.
Right.
Then we get the main event for the TNT Championship. Darby Allin, the champion, defending against John Silver of the Dark Order, which he is joined by the Dark Order at ringside. Very good match here. A lot of back and forth action. Hard-hitting match. A match that we see John Silver separate his shoulder, or dislocated, I don't know the proper term, in a spot where he was thrown or chasing Darby into the guardrail. Darby moves. He flipped over it. And right when he hit, in Reynolds, how he went over, I said, I think he's seriously hurt, but he continued to go through with the match. But once in a while, if you saw the camera would kind of catch him behind Darby or something, he was trying to do this. He was trying to pop his shoulder back in, it looked like.
Yeah.
And then he was, he usually throws those forearms with his right arm. He threw a couple, but you could tell he was in pain. So then he started throwing with his left. But I was also thinking maybe it's just a work, he's selling the injury. But no, it ended up, they announced after the match, he really did hurt his shoulder, and he even has a big goose egg on the back of his head from when he hit the concrete.
Yeah, that guardrail spot did not go according to plan. And like I said, I knew the moment that Reynolds jumped over there that quick that something wasn't right. I don't think he was supposed to tumble the way he did.
This match is back and forth. I should note that Sting came out during the match when he thought the Dark Order was getting involved, which they were just standing there. They really weren't doing anything. But Sting came out with his bat just to kind of show them like, hey, you're not going to get involved. Because if you think about Sting's history, he's had a lot of bad luck with other groups getting involved, whether it was the Horsemen or the MWO, which was most famously his feud, or the Main Event Mafia when he was with TNA. So,
yeah. Yeah. So even though I don't think, if anything, I think Dark Order would have picked Darby up and put him back into the ring, but I don't see them really, especially as faces, attacking him.
Yeah. This match went back and forth. There was a lot of shots in the middle of the ring towards the end. Darby hit a slingshot coffin drop, or went for a slingshot coffin drop, but he eats a pump kick that sends him into the corner. Darby's put on the top rope. Silver looks for a suplex. Darby lifts and drops him. Darby goes up and nails a coffin drop outside the ring on the Dark Order. Darby then goes back up to the top and takes a kick to the head. Silver climbs up and nails a leaping F5, which I thought, oh my gosh, Silver might win this thing, but he was slow to make the cover, doesn't get the 3 count. Darby gets his foot on the rope. That's what he does. That's why he didn't get the 3 count. Then Silver goes for the power bomb, but Darby flips it over into the code red for the 1, 2, 3. Just glad it wasn't a roll up. I thought that's the direction they were going for a second.
We didn't get a roll up this week, did we?
Thank God.
I know. Maybe Tony watches KOP.
No roll up and no Tony Schiavone interview with Sting.
No, but we still got it's Sting.
That's going to be every week for forever till he's done. But did you kind of get the feeling that Sting was going to hit Darby with the bat after the match?
It looked like it there for a second. I was confused as to what was going on because he went after Darby. He looked like he was going to hit Silver. I'm like, what's going on here with Sting?
Yeah, I don't see that happening, though. I just don't see Sting ever being a heel in AEW. And really, the actual person, Steve Borden, I don't think he would want to do that at this point.
No, I think his WCW days were the best time to get him as a heel, as when he came back as the Crow version of Sting, that is.
Then post-match, we saw Sting walk into the ring, as you were kind of acknowledging. He lifts up John Silver. Darby offers a fist bump and Silver gives it back to him. Then we see Matt Hardy pull Darby out of the ring, and an all-out brawl breaks out with Matt Hardy family office of Butcher and the Blade come out, and Private Party and the Bunny. Dark Order come out and get involved. We see Conti run out and attack the Bunny. We see Darby hit a heck of a suicide dive, or tope suicida, I guess you should say, on Matt Hardy. The fighting just keeps going until the show comes to a close.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I wonder if something happened when Darby did that, because he hit that, walked around the ring, grabbed Sting, and walked out. And that's not like Darby to walk away from a fight.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good catch.
And back to the shoulder injury with Silver, even after, you could see it on his face that wasn't how that was supposed to go.
Hopefully it's nothing too serious.
Yeah, I don't want to see Silver be out for too long, just as this momentum's getting going for him and the Dark Order.
Yeah, take him out with Anna Jay. Geez, they're starting to lose their heavy hitters.
Yeah, although he did, even with injured arm, hit the Queenslayer and Anna.
Yeah, he kept. He fought through it, and that's why Darby gave him major props after the show on the mic and said he's willing to do it again whenever he wants. So, but I'm kind of digging Matt Hardy getting involved for the TNT title.
Okay,
because he's not going to win. I don't think he's going to win it, but
no,
I'm all for him working with Darby a little bit and giving Darby and he can tell Darby to slow down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because if there's one veteran that knows about going too fast and hurting himself, it's Matt Hardy.
Yep.
So,
yeah, because Sting's always been kind of just a slow mover, even when he was back with his bright colors.
Yep. So, overall grade for Dynamite last night, Paul.
An A-. Lots of good segments. Don't get me wrong. Just there were a few spots where I was like, "What are they doing here?"
Yeah. I'm gonna go A- as well. I was thinking B+, but I think I'm gonna bump it up a little bit. I thought it was better than some of the Dynamite's last few weeks have been. I thought it was pretty smooth, but there was a couple spots. The women's match was short. I wish it was a little longer, but I liked the result of that. Of course, you had a squash match in there with Hangman. I understand why those are needed, but I'm not huge on them.
No.
But really, besides the Conti match, I thought all the results were pretty predictable.
Yeah.
Well, not so much. I guess I didn't really see the Bucks losing. So.
Bucks didn't lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brandon Cutler
lost.
lost.
So, wrestler of the week.
John Silver fighting through the injury.
Okay. I'm going to go Laredo Kid.
Okay, I can get behind that.
Coming back to Dynamite after 2 years and getting a victory for his team, filling in for Pac. So, yeah. I could have went with Darby Alin, but I've gave to Darby already before, which that's not going to stop me from doing it again in the future. But could have went with the Pinnacle, I suppose. Could have went with the team.
Oh yeah,
for getting their first victory. So, but I'm sure there's a lot of weeks I'll go with the Pinnacle going forward. So,
yeah, they're still new. They'll get their wrestlers of the week coming up soon enough.
Yep, faction of the week. We'll have to make it for that week. So,
but
really looking forward to Dynamite next week. Looks like it's going to be a great show. It's going to be a tape show, of course, but should be good nonetheless. An interesting note, another note I mentioned, Thunder Rosa was there at Dynamite last night. I saw on her Instagram she was backstage, so maybe she'll be on next week's Dynamite.
Maybe they have Britt in a match that they didn't announce, and then she'll attack her. I mean, I think that feud's done.
I do too. It needs to be done for now. They can revisit it later on, but
she'll come out somehow or some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Britt could get involved in the women's tag match next week, I suppose. Get herself involved in the title picture. Because I don't see them having, even though Tay Conti's number one contender, and I think they'll have that match before Double or Nothing, I don't see her taking off the belt yet off Sheeta. I'd be very surprised.
No.
If they didn't have Anna Jay do it, I don't see them having Tay Conti do it.
Yeah, see, that's kind of the problem. I think the next person to actually take it off of her will be Britt Baker.
I think it should be. So, yeah, I'm interested to see when Statlander's going to return. She will be on Sammy's vlog next Tuesday. It's supposed to be her and Cutler trying to take the being the elite title, or the Sammy Guevara vlog title, as he calls it, from Sammy, who took it back from his girlfriend in a Florida's lava game, which was
Sammy comes up with some interesting games. I'm telling you,
he does. So he about hurt himself in that Florida's lava game. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
I have not yet.
I won't spoil it for you, but there was a spot he about hurt himself. I'm thinking, dude, don't hurt yourself playing this game. Like, Tony will kill you.
Yes, he will.
But looking forward to get the Inner Circle back on TV, but I don't mind if it's another week without them.
Yeah, and I got to say I'm interested in the Arcade Anarchy match.
Yeah, I am too. I want to see some arcade cabinets get smashed.
I might cry when a few of those get smashed.
Sure.
I mean, I'm a big gamer, so you never want to see video games get destroyed.
You know, I'd love to see them smash an old WWF arcade one, but they can't do that. They can't risk having their logo on television.
They could blur it out so that we know what it is, but
they could. But I think that's even a little petty for them to even stoop down to. So,
you never know.
I don't know.
It's AEW.
Well, and it matters which one they smash. If they smash some of those ones from the late 80s, early 90s, there's going to be a lot of ticked off people. If they can do that and smash one, it needs to be one for like the mid 90s.
Yeah, or even, go buy half a dozen of these $200 ones that they've got at Walmart and use those instead.
Or maybe they can make 2K20 that was just crap, somehow mod that into the arcade and smash that, because that game's awful.
Yes, absolutely. I can attest to that personally.
Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Kicking Out Pod. Subscribe to our YouTube and Twitch channels, which, if you're listening to this, you can find the video versions on there. You can also find the video versions of this podcast on our Facebook page, so go give us a like on there as well. Subscribe to our podcast wherever you're listening to this, whatever podcast platform you're using to listen to this. If it's Apple Podcasts, please give us a rating and review. We really appreciate that. And you can follow Paul and I on Twitter. My handle's at TannerLee92. Paul's is at PaulZartman921. And the same thing on Instagram. So, please tell your friends about us. Tell your family about us. Tell other wrestling fans about us. We are an AEW fan podcast for the fans. We enjoy bringing you this content every Thursday night. So anything else to add, Paul? If not, go ahead and sign us off.
That's going to do it for me. For Tanner Lee, I'm Paul Zartman. Join us again next week as we kick out another podcast.